From the Mercy One studio.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Kelly Mescher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're visiting with Tom Chapman, Executive Director of the Iowa Catholic Conference, to talk about the priorities of the bishops of Iowa for the upcoming 2020 legislative session. But before we get to today's interview, let's find out what's on the bishop's mind.
Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
So we've settled into ordinary time, but we know for many of our people around the world, life is anything but ordinary. The people in Australia dealing with the fires, the catastrophic fires that have affected Western Australia, New South Wales, South Australia, and Victoria states, and the people there fleeing and things we kind of associate with California, but our prayers continue to be with the people in Australia, as well as our friends in Puerto Rico and the earthquake there. That state has just experienced so much, and with the electrical things and all that went on there. So our hearts and minds go out not only to our Catholic friends, but to so many in that way. So here we are, kind of there. I'm going to be making my rounds with the other bishops in the ad limina visit. We're kind of working our way through the major basilicas, Mary Major, St. John Lateran, obviously St. Peter's, and St. Paul outside the walls. And kind of a fond memory there when I was bringing my Loris class 4 years ago to St. Paul outside the walls. And so the designated church of Cardinal James Hickey, the American, who's the cardinal who has that's his titular see there. Okay. And so he greeted us and made time for us. He's a consummate gentleman. He was the head of the papal household under the Holy Father St. John Paul II. But at a certain point, he said, now we can keep having the tour, or it's up to Father Joensen. He can decide whether we go get a coffee. And I said, I'm no dummy. I think it's time for a coffee. So the bar that the church owns right next to the St. Paul outside the walls it was all set up for our group of 35, and a little sweet pastry in the morning, and whatever kind of form of caffeine people wanted, they could have that as well. So it was a great gesture of hospitality on his part.
Very nice.
So we're kind of there. So we'll be going, but also a chance to visit with our seminarians at the North American College, Reed Flood, Alex Kramer, Mike Mahoney, and of course Father James Downey, ordained this past year, who's completing his license in theology as well. So we will be doing that. Of course, St. Paul outside the walls is a significant church in terms of Christian unity, and as we have the Feast of Conversion of Paul on January 25th, that's kind of marks the conclusion of the week of Christian unity. So our great engagement on the Word of God and the life of Christian service and all that's there. How when we do engage in honest dialogue, we find how much more unites us than divides us. And so still hoping to realize that unity for which Christ prays in his own way. We're also anticipating Catholic Schools Week, the end of the month, finally, surrounding the Feast of St. John Bosco, Feast of St. Thomas Aquinas. I'll try to contain myself and not wax eloquent about Thomas Aquinas, the angelic doctor, but the opportunity to be at schools in Shelby County, obviously Dowling Catholic High School, and finally my initial experience to celebrate Mass at St. Albert's in Council Bluffs. So I've been waiting with bated breath. I was postponed in November, but the opportunity to be there, but to celebrate this great mission and our dedicated teachers, administrators, and all who support in any way Catholic education. Obviously, we know a lot of education and formation happens in the home, and as Tom Chapman will maybe anticipate, that Catholic schools are no threat to the public schools, but that this is a particular way in which integrated throughout the day and not just kind of isolated in the encounter with Jesus and the whole sense of that personal relationship that forms our young people, allowing them to take their place as leaven in the world and all that we're about. So we're hoping to experience that in a beautiful way. So the ways in which people have experienced Jesus and the encounters that they've had. Do you have anything for us there? No? Okay. Kelly.
Probably want you to text us, though.
All right. Excuse me. So, all right. So, where are the professionals when we need them here? But anyway, so we always welcome people texting us at 515-223-1150, 515-223-1150. Come on, help Kelly and me out here. Make us look good when I'm the one with egg on my face here. So, all right, Kelly. Oh, the humanity.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll welcome Tom Chapman, Executive Director of the Iowa Catholic Conference. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Lee and Eddie in the Morning is provided by Five Sons Naturescapes. Five Sons Naturescapes is a Catholic veteran-owned family company providing premium outdoor landscapes. Extend your living space outdoors with patios, pergolas, fencing, and retaining walls. Outdoor lighting is another way to enjoy your landscaping day and night. Five Sons Naturescapes will spend the time to understand your needs and create your perfect outdoor space. Learn more about Five Sons Naturescapes at fivesonsnaturescapes.com. Thank you to Five Sons Naturescapes for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Thank you to Golden Rule for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
At Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, we do our best to serve the people and communities who so generously support us. We try and find some way to give back every single month because we know everyone can use some help. Golden Rule is very thankful for all of our customers and your continued support of us. We would like to wish you and yours a very blessed holiday season. I'm Bobby from Golden Rule, where we deliver respect, understanding, loyalty, expertise, and service every time you call. We have a standard and we prove it with every job. Online at goldenrulephc.com.
Welcome back. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. On today's show, we're visiting with Tom Chapman, Executive Director of the Iowa Catholic Conference, to talk about the priorities of the bishops of Iowa for the upcoming 2020 legislative session.
Thank you very much, Kelly, and Mr. Tom Chapman. It's good to be with you this morning.
Thank you, Bishop.
We know each other, but since coming to Des Moines, it's been a chance to really appreciate all that you've been about and a little bit of your own background. Now, the Iowa Catholic Conference is not an athletic conference composed only of Catholic schools, right?
No. Nope. It just deals with all the issues the bishops want to deal with. So, yep.
All right. So it's an arm of the bishops?
Yeah. The Iowa Catholic Conference is the public policy agency of the Catholic bishops of Iowa. And as you know, we've got 4 Catholic bishops in Iowa: Sioux City, Dubuque, Davenport, and Des Moines. And so I work for the 4 of them, and you guys give me direction on what our policy positions will be, and then we go up to the state capitol and inform the Catholic people about that and do some work.
Okay, so excellent. And you talk about the 4 dioceses and everything. You certainly are out and about. Some of our politicians are talking about pulling a Grassley, which means 99 counties. But you're known to spend some serious road time, kind of meeting with
in the fall.
People.
Yeah, in the fall is mainly my time to get out in the dioceses, and I get a lot of invitations to do some speaking to Catholic groups and individual parishes and groups of parishes, and meet with the bishops sometimes when I get a chance to do that, and always try to pair that up with meeting with legislators in different parts of the state. So that's a good way to get in touch with them when they're not so busy at the Capitol, and kind of see them in their own local situation at their local restaurant or bar or wherever they end up wanting to meet, and so we get to some of them own some bars, so that's where you end up meeting with them. And that's fine, but it's a good chance to get to know them a little bit and what they're really interested in and how they want to help people.
Okay. So are people comfortable being seen with you here in the city of Des Moines? At breakfast or whatever?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely.
Because technically, are you a lobbyist?
Technically, yeah, I'm a lobbyist. I have to register in that way. And so you can't, there are gift laws in Iowa, so technically I can't even get them a drink at Starbucks. The limit is $3, so you really can't give a legislator anything. And so in some ways, I think
that will not get you a mocha frappo.
Yeah, that won't get you anything, So really, it's all conversation about issues and just getting a cup of coffee and talking with people. But I think it's important to try to build relationships, because I think that's part of what politics really is building relationships with people. You might say building a culture of encounter, with people who may not always agree with where you are, but to try to build that dialogue with people is important.
Marvelous, and that kind of segues very nicely with our last week's show on the Civilize It.
I really love that project, and I'm glad the bishops are putting that together.
Yeah, good. So before we plunge into some of the priorities this session, people can sign up for the Iowa Catholic Conference and be part of this network? Yeah,
we'd love to have people do that. If people go to iowacatholicconference.org, they can click on Join the Network or Take Action, and that way they can put in their address, and we'll definitely send them a weekly newsletter during the session. That's going to be starting up, right this week. And they'll know what's going on, issues of interest to the Catholic community. So that's what we focus on in the newsletter. and we'll have a chance to send out action alerts where people will know when's the right time to take action on a particular issue, send in an email or give a call to a legislator. So we really encourage people to sign up for that. It's a good way to stay connected, and we're not going to spam them with information, but just the key information they need to know.
Yeah, and a longtime subscriber of that in Dubuque. I mean, I've always appreciated how pithy it was, very succinct and really got to things, and also strategic. Sometimes sending an email to a legislator is not going to be as effective as other seasons.
Exactly, and you want to send it at the right time, and not too early and not too late, things like that. And we're getting better about being more pithy, and keeping it short, for attention spans these days. So we really hope people take that opportunity.
Okay, so before us, some of the conversations that we've had. Constitutional amendments, should that make us nervous, or what's happening there?
Yeah, I think you always take great care with constitutional amendments, and there's a couple of them, though, that we're supporting this year. One in particular has to do with abortion and is in response to a 2018 Supreme Court decision here in the state of Iowa that found actually abortion to be a fundamental right in the Constitution. And so it goes beyond even Roe v. Wade. And so we've got a proposal that we're working on with a lot of different groups that would actually just kind of reset the Constitution and say it does not have a right to an abortion. So we've been actively working on that really since the end of the session last year, meeting with a lot of different groups and legislators. And I feel like it's going to be moving. How far it will move, will it get through both chambers? Part of that's going to be up to the people if they really ask for it, And so that's why we're encouraging people to pay attention to what's going on, and we'll be asking for their response to legislators. So that's one constitutional amendment.
And that decision that found that in the Constitution kind of dropped in out of nowhere, right? It doesn't really reflect even the continuity going back to the mid-19th century, does it?
No, it certainly, it's the same Constitution we've had also allowed for a ban on abortion, for 115 years up until Roe v. Wade. And so now the court has kind of changed its mind. It said, no, in this same Constitution, there is a right to an abortion. And the decision was clear in that they were making new law. And they were clear about the fact that they were doing that. And that's very unfortunate. They've kind of moved towards that over the last 10 years, and we were concerned that that's where they were headed. And indeed, that's where they were headed with it. We did file an amicus brief on behalf of the Iowa Catholic Conference to try to say, well, no, this Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion. And we had a very good historical and legal argument, but they didn't take us up on it.
Right. So much for stare decisis,
yeah,
I guess. All right.
Exactly.
So another possible amendment?
Yeah, another that now Iowa is actually the only state where people coming out of prison automatically do not have a right to vote. We're the last one. And it's part of a constitutional provision that we have that just says if someone has committed a felony, they do not receive the right to vote. So that's what we're trying to change. I mean, we're really, I would say, a church about forgiveness and second chances, and also about wanting people to be part of the political community. And so this would only apply to people who have come out of prison and have completed their sentence. So they have to do all of that before they would receive the right to vote back. It wouldn't be exactly automatic, but at least would give that opportunity. The proposal that we're also working on would allow for the legislature to decide that there are some, crimes that really a person should not receive the right to vote again, perhaps treason or something like that.
Oh.
And there are some reasonable arguments to be made on that. But part of the problem in Iowa is that we have a very low level of what a felony is. Yeah, Class D felony could be, and I'm not advocating this, but if you do $1,500 worth of damage, that can be a felony. Well, if you're 19 years old and you're screwing around and you make a mistake, that can be a felony, if you've just destroyed property. And then to say that you can never receive the right to vote, that seems out of whack with where we are as a society. So we're working with probably 40 or 50 other groups to try to get this constitutional amendment passed so the people of Iowa can vote on it. A similar thing was done in Florida, and the people approved it. And so we're kind of following towards that. And it passed the Iowa House last year 95-2. And so now it's in the Senate, going to be in the Judiciary Committee, and we're in big trouble on that. There's not a lot of support for it in the Senate so far. Lots of work is being done, so we're going to be asking for help on that.
Okay. I've been one who's kind of tracked with the whole models of restorative justice in the past, and this would seem to restore the right to franchise, the right to vote would be a piece of that, right?
Yeah,
and kind of recognizing dignity.
Yeah, we want people to be part of the community. And if you treat people like decent citizens, maybe they'll act like decent citizens. You don't want to put people aside. And so I think this would be an important thing to keep working on.
Okay. So turning to others who maybe are coming to our community or others who we want to have full participation, some support for resettlement and case management for refugees.
Yeah, that's one thing we're definitely taking a look at. Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Des Moines is one of 2 resettlement agencies in the state. Other Catholic charities were doing that in the past, but they had to get out of it because the federal government has decided we're just going to admit many fewer refugees, which is very unfortunate because these are among the most vetted people on the face of the earth. I mean, they have to leave their country because of famine or war or political things where they're being prosecuted. And they're in camps for a couple of years. They go through all these interviews and vetting, and then a few of them are allowed to come to this country. And so what we'd like to do is get some more support for that, because they're people who really have very great needs. Because
all the support presently, excuse me for interrupting, is channeled through the federal arms, right?
Yeah.
So this is looking at a state.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for, because really right now there used to be a lot more, but now there's 90 days of federal assistance, which basically turns, refugee resettlement is really a jobs program. You're trying to get these people in jobs right away. And so, but it would be better to have some extended case management to help them with housing and kind of getting settled here. And the state does already put a little money into that in terms of some language training. And also they put some money into a AmeriCorps project, which employs refugees, a few refugees to help with that community. But we'd like to see them, encourage them in that way and encourage more.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I certainly know at my home parish, St. Ambrose Cathedral, the diversity of people, and many who've come to this country as refugees and are contributing in so many ways to the Des Moines community and to the diocese, so that support that might be there. Catholic education is always a priority, some ongoing advocacy there.
Yeah, there's a lot of, some budget items that we work on, which would provide textbooks and technology to Catholic schools. And so we work on that. That's an important thing. The state provides over $8 million to help transport students to non-public schools. That's only about 80% of what is needed, and so that money really flows to the public school to either provide it or sometimes they'll prorate it out to parents. But we'd like to have that fully funded, of course. And then a very important program is the School Tuition Organization Program, which raises money for scholarships for lower-income children to go to Catholic schools. That has been a great program over the years. It's really a great tax credit, a great opportunity for donors. We're working on that to try to increase the amount of tax credits that might be available. There has been a federal issue that's cropped up, which has made it more difficult to get donations because our donors can't get the full federal deduction. But it's still a great state tax credit, and if you increase those tax credits, it helps those STOs that can raise the money. So that's a very critical thing we work on. We've also
some people will lob this canard that it's taking money away from the public schools.
No, it's totally a separate discussion, and we support great public schools. We need to have great public schools. The amount that goes to public schools every year always goes up. It hasn't gone up as fast as it has in the past, and so they do have some issues there. But this discussion at the Capitol, it's not like the legislators choose between one or the other. They're totally separate discussions. By law, they're supposed to do the public school funding right away in the first month or two of the session, and they usually do that. And then our discussion with non-public schools usually comes at the budget part at the end. So they really aren't. Our amount is so tiny. I mean, we're talking about, if you look at federal and state and local funding for public schools, it's over $6 billion. We're talking about a few million, which to me, that's a lot of money, right? But in the scheme of things, it's like 1% of what they're doing, actually less of what they're doing for the public schools. And so we feel like it's a different discussion.
Okay, definitely. And I know Gene Wells with our diocesan Catholic School Tuition Organization was ecstatic to exceed her goal of $3 million, and
they did a great job on that. Yeah.
So we want to stretch her and make her work even harder next year by upping the limit. So we hope our legislators give Gene an aspirational task in that regard. So
we're going to be working on that for sure.
That'd be marvelous in that way. So And, you talk about a couple million, not very much money, so don't be setting me up to ask for a raise here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, did you hear what I said, Bishop? Exactly.
Yeah, I can remember when Christians and other people of goodwill really were instrumental in having the abolition of the death penalty under Governor Branstad a couple decades ago, but there's some rumblings in that area.
Yeah, actually, Iowa got rid of the death penalty in 1966 or so. We've not had it for many years, over 50 years now, but there are efforts to bring it back. And that's an issue that really relates to human life and dignity and is right in the wheelhouse of the Catholic Church and the bishops, for sure. And we've opposed that, and we work closely with the Iowans Against the Death Penalty group to try to stop that up. Unfortunately, that passed out of committee last year in the Senate Judiciary Committee. They sent it back to the committee, and I expect there'll be efforts to bring it forth again. I think we are, in a tough spot. Obviously, it passed last year. It could pass this year out of the committee. We're just trying to keep it off the floor for debate. I think it would have a tougher time even passing the House. But as this moves, people will hear about it, and we're definitely going to make our voice known on that issue.
Okay. We know our Holy Father, Pope Francis, has now inscribed this in the Catechism, certainly in continuity with Pope John Paul II and even Evangelii Vitae. But, again, not only that, there might be pragmatic considerations to allow the death penalty, but that really this is an intrinsic offense against human dignity, which is inalienable no matter what we do.
The Pope even called it inadmissible, I think, in the newest document. And so we've been working against it for a long time, and we'll continue that work. Okay,
excellent. Any other little things that might be on your plate?
Well, I think there's discussions about mental health funding that the government has, and we've supported efforts to try to get that where it needs to be. Part of the problem is that it's not really equitable in all parts of the state, depending on property taxes and things like that. It may get taken up in that discussion about raising the sales tax for Natural Resources Trust Fund, because the first 3/8 of any tax increase of sales tax goes to that. And then the other 5/8 is, what are you going to do with that money? And so lots of people would like to have great ideas for that. And perhaps mental health funding would be one of those. We have mixed feelings about it because a sales tax increase is regressive and affects lower income people more than higher income people. So we'd really see those things probably better out of the income tax, but that's not the world we're living in right now. So we're just going to have to see how that goes forward.
Yeah, so that's part of the art of politics. And Tom, we're really blessed that you're so instrumental and have been at this for some time and have all those relationships that we've talked about in that way. So we thank you for your time. You're going to have an intense few months here, but the Spirit will be with you. So will your daughter Katie be evaluating your performance this morning when you get home? Are your sophomore daughter at Donald Catholic High School?
She always evaluates my performance, and she's not afraid to tell me where I'm messing up. So we're happy to have that.
Okay. Well, bless you and peace going forward.
Thank you, Bishop.
We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Thank you to Golden Rule for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
At Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, we do our best to serve the people and communities who so generously support us. We try and find some way to give back every single month because we know everyone can use some help. Golden Rule is very thankful for all of our customers and your continued support of us. We would like to wish you and yours a very blessed holiday season. I'm Bobby from Golden Rule, where we deliver respect, understanding, loyalty, expertise, and service every time you call. We have a standard and we prove it with every job. Online at goldenrulephc.com.
Thank you to Bozen the Florist for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio, Dowling Catholic Football, and Catholic Connection with Theresa Tomeo.
What better way to send a message to a friend or a loved one than a beautiful bouquet of fresh-cut flowers? Hey, this is Tom Bozen from Bozen the Florist. Our family business has been helping Central Iowans send messages locally and around the world for almost 100 years. Whatever the occasion, whatever the message, we can help you say more with Bozen. That's 244-ROSE, 244-7673, or visit us at bozen.com.
Pool hall window after school. You got trouble, folks, right here in River City. Trouble with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. Now, I know all you folks are the right kind of parents. I'm going to be perfectly frank.
Welcome back. I'm Kelly Mescher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. Great interview. Tom Chapman, always a good friend of the station.
Yeah, right. Well, you two go back a ways.
We do. Yes, we do. Let's see. Back what year? Must have been 2007, I believe. Yeah.
So long ago.
I know, 2006, actually. Yeah, he left Catholic Charities to go to Iowa Catholic Conference, and at the same time, I was doing my practicum at Catholic Charities and switched over to Iowa Catholic Conference. So we started at the exact same time.
Oh,
I was just an intern.
You're like a lottery pick then. Yeah, in that way. Wow, good. So
I was
you're
just an intern, but yeah, it was good. A lot of walking at the Capitol.
Okay.
But it was a good time. I enjoyed working with Tom.
All right.
He's great.
No, he is. He really is. So that's marvelous. So, and I think we only touched on a sample of the things that he's going to be about and how he goes through that as well. So very much excellent. We were talking a little bit about the Christian Unity Week before, and Pope Francis is kind of accenting that a little bit this year, initiating something that kind of binds us in terms of the Word of God?
He has decided to declare that January 26th will be a newly established Sunday of the Word of God Day. So this is an invitation to Catholics from around the world to deepen their appreciation, love, and faithful witness to God and His Word. So focusing on the Bible. Do
we Catholics read the Bible? I mean, I
know. I don't know, don't you? Try to.
No, that's part of the whole renewal.
No, I know
there.
There is kind of that prejudice.
Vatican II and the Dogmatic Constitution on Divine Revelation. that classic phrase of the one table of the Word and Sacrament. And so we as Catholics, obviously, the liturgy of the Word is an essential part, and our whole life revolves around it. And visiting with some of our pastors in the diocese, some of the renewal movements that accent that. So it's a beautiful thing. So very good.
Good. Yeah, so he just said this day will be dedicated to the Bible to help the Church experience anew how the risen Lord opens up for us the treasury of His Word and enables us to proclaim His unfathomable riches. It would be a good opportunity for people to open up the Bible and rediscover what's in there.
Yeah, molding our hearts and things as well, so that they don't. When thinking about things that we do, a lot of people during the new year try to adopt new fitness regimens and things like that. I'm just trying to hang together now. I'm in maintenance mode if I can keep this going. As 60 is looming here this year, so that'll be a significant year for me. But I'm still waiting. In our kind of command booth here at Iowa Catholic Radio, that Deacon Tony Valdez, when I will be admitted to the spin class at the Y, when he'll allow me to join his 5:15 a.m. Group in the morning. So his door is always open. There's a whole vetting process that goes on for this, and so I would just warn you that if you let me into the spin chamber, you probably better increase the towels there, because I've been known to create a biblical size pool under me in that way, so that would be something there. So perspiration is no sign of performance, but at least it kind of goes in that route.
Does he have a disco ball in his studio during his class?
Oh my goodness!
That's what I've heard. Playlist, disco ball. I don't think he's paying attention to me.
It's like psychedelic, man. It's like psychedelic. So but we think about the Word of God and how we're trained. Pope Francis also kind of talking about how the challenges that we face train us as well. Right?
Right. Yeah, he talked about that. He talked about discerning of spirits in a recent homily, how we need to pay attention to the voices we hear internally and, really discern where those thoughts and voices are coming from. Another thing for 2020, Pantone actually released, they said that classic blue is the color for 2020. And so they said that people are in a lot of stress nowadays, that blue is a dependable color that makes us feel secure. And of course, that relates very well to the Virgin Mary, the mantle of Mary, calling on her when you're in need.
So Pantone is like the high priest of color in our culture. I mean, they get to declare, what's the new black for us each year.
You could declare it for our diocese. I'm sure people would be interested.
Yeah, no, when I was at Loras College, my pastoral staff and the dean of spiritual life, they would not even let me select or have a voice in the selection of the color of the carpet in the sanctuary.
Not bad, huh?
So.
All right, this has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to our guests and all of our listeners in Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.